Time for another board game review, and this time we have the game Land vs. Sea. This was sent to me by Good Games Publishing, and it's designed by Jean-Paul Jacques. Play as either land or sea. Take turns placing double-sided tiles into a medieval map to complete land and sea areas for points. Start simple and add new scoring layers to increase your options over many games. Let me show you how to play. So Land vs. Sea can be played with 3 players and 4 players. There are different rule sets, but I'm going to show you basically the 2-player version. At the beginning of the game, you will each draft starting tiles, starting with land. One of you is playing land, one of you is playing sea. There are these stacks over here of tiles, and then you draft tiles, and when you pick one, you can't look at the other side of the tile until after you've taken them. But those sides are hidden. You can look at them secretly, but they are hidden from your opponent. Now, on your turn, you can play a tile. So you look at both sides of your tiles, and you're going to choose and place one of them face up onto the map, adjacent to tiles, so that each connected edge matches. This is the starting tile. So let's say I picked this one and I did something like that. There, the sides match. There are also certain tiles that have special actions on them. The play again or steal, here's one of them. I'll go into those later. But if you play one of those, you get to use that action. And then if you complete an area, you get to score it. So let's say, let me just try to make one real quick. Okay, boop. Boop. And there we go. So that would be a completed water area. And so you would score any points earned, as well as any bonus points. We'll get into that later. There are also optional waypoints. That's a different rule thing. I won't explain that now. But regardless, you play a tile, use the action, score if anything is completed, and then you choose a tile from one of the 2 stacks to bring your tile count up to 2 again. Then the next player will do the same thing. You keep going, scoring each area that completes as you go, until every single tile has been placed on the map. So let's go over some of those special tiles. This symbol is the play again symbol. If you play this, so let's say I play it here, then I get to play my second tile in my possession immediately. And let's say I put it here. If you play a second play again tile, you don't get to place a third one because you can't have more than 2 tiles. The other possible action is steal, which is this symbol. So if you play this symbol, choose and take any one of your opponent's tiles, but not their last one. You may not look at the hidden side of the tile until after you have taken it. And also, I don't think they do not replenish. You will draw back up to 2 at the end of your next turn. So yeah, this is a way if your opponent has a juicy tile you want, let's say it was over here, you can grab it, add it to your possession. So I went over what a scoring area looks like. So how it works is this sea area is completely enclosed with no open edges. That means each tile in it, so this would be 1 for water or sea, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Also, whoever completes the area scores a bonus point per these cross icons inside the area. So even if land was the one who completed it, land would get 2 points for these crosses, but sea would get 5 points. There is a volcano/whirlpool tile. How this one works is if you ever have an area with 6 of the same type of edges surrounding a hole, then you can fill it. I'll see if I can make one of those real quick. Oh, this one C is doing really well. So yeah, if you ended up with a configuration like this, in that case, you would place the whirlpool tile. If it was all land, then it would be the volcano tile. And yeah, whoever completed it or placed the final tile to make this edge, they get to put the tile in the middle, and then you regular scoring as usual once this area completes. And so that is the basic game. You're taking turns placing tiles, potentially playing again or stealing. They do have some additional scoring options that they recommend. I actually recommend these even on your first play because I think they make the game more interesting. So the first one is mountains and coral. So how this works is some of the tiles have mountains, some have coral. So you can see this is coral and these are mountains. So these tiles are connected like any other land or sea tile edge. However, no matter who places it, when a mountain edge of one tile is connected to another tile's mountain edge, land immediately scores 1 point per section in that whole chain of mountain sections. So let's see if I can just show an example. So like right here, placing that there, those two mountains connect. That would be 2 points. If you manage to connect another mountain to that, 3 points. And the same thing can be done with coral. So this would have been a nice coral section. So yes, land scores when someone does these, sea scores for those. There is also caravan and ship scoring. So you can see some of the tiles have caravans and some have ships. Whoever places a caravan or ship tile adjacent to any other caravan or ship tile immediately scores 2 points. I forgot to mention, there's a whole nice little scoring board here that is actually part of the box. And so yes, as you score points, you will move it along in real time. So yeah, if I place a caravan tile next to this caravan, boop, 2 points. At the end of the game, multiple adjacent tiles with caravans and or ships make trade routes. At the end of the game, you're going to check and score each trade route separately for majority. So if you look at these sort of like connected areas, there's not really a good example here. I'll have to make one. Okay. Here's just a small example. So if you look here, it's 2 caravans and a ship. That is technically a trade route because those are all adjacent to each other. At the end of the game, if there are more caravans than ships, then land will score 1 point for each of these, so 3. If there are more ships, in this case, no. But if there were, then sea would score 1 point for each. If there was a tie, like there were 2 ships and 2 caravans, then neither player would score for that trade route. The final sort of mechanic is waypoints. Waypoints act like bonus points you can place and later score yourself. When you, and this is recommended for 4-player games, but can be used in the other versions as well. So when you play a tile and score, then if your waypoint is not already on the map, and you place it onto any matching land or sea part of an open tile that doesn't already contain a waypoint. So let's say I'm the land player, I could place it on a land edge. Now this waypoint will be returned to that respective team member when either this area with that waypoint in it is completed, or if the tile containing it is surrounded by 6 tiles. Whoever returns a waypoint to its owner using either method will score a bonus point. So it's just another way to kind of go, okay, I think this is going to get, this sea area will get finished eventually. I'll place it here. And if it gets surrounded or completed, whoever does it gets a point. And that's pretty much the game. You can play with any versions of those additional rules. You don't have to. You can also just play the basic rule set. But otherwise, you just place tiles, score areas when they're completed, and try to get as many points as you can before all the tiles are placed. And that's the game. So this is another one of those sort of Carcassonne-style tile-laying games, and it's pretty good. Making it 1 versus 1, although you can technically play with more, but I really think it's best 1 versus 1. Makes it feel very competitive, as you're constantly trying to make it harder for your opponents to complete their areas. It is really fun going, okay, I'm going to put this part here, because that's going to make this C part really hard to complete. That's fun. However, the placement rules feel a lot stricter, I feel like, in other tile-laying games, since you have to match these edges perfectly. So sometimes with what you have available, it feels like you just don't have any good options. It does make the play again and steal mechanics a little less interesting, because oftentimes you're just going for the tile that you need to place versus like really worrying about anything else. I do think, however, you need to play the game with the additional rules to make it more interesting. The mountain/coral rules, the caravan/ship rules, these add very fun layers to think about as you place. I feel like the base game is a little too simplistic, so I think almost like this game needs to be played with those rules at least. The waypoints, not as important, but like just different ways of making you think about, oh, maybe this tile will be best for here, this scoring method would be good for here. That's always welcome in these kinds of games. Overall, I don't think it's like a mind-blowing addition to this tile-laying genre, but I always appreciate a game that plays well with 2 players. I definitely think there's always demand for that. And this one has a fun competitive edge. Also, I think the art is nice. So yeah, it's fun. It's, nice head-to-head sort of competing. It's pretty good.